Part 1. The Core Evolution 2025 2030I. The macro strategy, clean core, is the new law. The era of Z codes is over. From 2025 onwards, your value is not defined by how well you can write a functional spec for a user exit. It is defined by how well you can avoid writing one. The landscape shift. The deadline ECC support ends in 2027 mainstream or 2030 extended. Every client will be migrating to S or 4 HANA Cloud. Rise with SAP. This is the dominant offering, private cloud. It allows some flexibility but penalizes dirty code. Modifications. Grow with SAP. This is public cloud, SaaS. It allows zero modifications to the core. You must configure, not customize. 2. The clean core methodology. You must stop using old extension techniques. Old way, forbidden. User exits. MV45 AFZZ. Modifications. Append structures in standard tables. New way, mandatory. Tier 1. In-app extensibility. Using Fiori key user tools to add custom fields or logic without code. Tier 2. Developer extensibility. Using ABAP Cloud, RAP model, on the S or 4 HANA stack but strictly decoupled, using public APIs only. Tier 3. Side-by-side. Complex logic moves to SAP BTP, Business Technology Platform, communicating via OData APIs. 2. The new SD, S or 4 HANA Sales, Deep Dive. SD as a module name is fading. It is now sales within the line of business, LOBOP sales. Here is exactly what changed technically and functionally. 1. Data model simplification, the tables. You must unlearn the old ECC tables. Status tables gone, VBUK, header status, and VBUP, item status, are deleted. Status fields are now directly in VBAK and VBAP. Impact. Your old reports using VBUK will dump. You must use CDS views. Pricing data, the table KONV, transaction conditions, is replaced by PRCDEL-EMENTS. Note, KONV still exists as a structure, but for database selection, you must use the new table which is optimized for HANA. Business Partner, BP. XD01, XK01, VD01 are dead. The business partner, transaction BP, is mandatory. Concept, one ID for a legal entity. It plays roles, customer, vendor, employee. CVI, customer-vendor integration. This is the bridge that links the BPID to the classic KUNNR, customer number 2. Functionality replacements, must learn. Rebates, settlement management, CCM. Classic SD rebates, VB01, are deprecated. New solution, condition contract management, CCM. It is far more powerful. It can handle royalties, commissions, and supplier rebates in one tool. T-codes, WCOCO, condition contract. Credit management, SAP FSCM. Classic FD32 is dead. New solution, FSCM, financial supply chain management. Credit management. Why? It calculates credit limits using formulas, risk class plus payment history, rather than static manual entry. It integrates with external agencies, Dun and Bradstreet. Output determination, BRF plus, NACE, condition technique, is supported but legacy. New solution, SAPS or 4, HANA output management based on BRF plus, business rule framework plus. Benefit, it handles email templates, XML outputs, and printer logic in a decision table format, not ABAP code. 3. The growth engines, new modules to master. Standard sales, order, delivery, invoice, is a commodity. Rates are low. The high rates are in these two specialized extensions. 1. SAP AATP Advanced available to promise. In the 2025 supply chain crisis environment, knowing if you have stock is not enough. You need to know who gets the stock. AATP is the brain of fulfillment. Product allocation, PAL. Fair share logic. You can limit that customer A only gets 100 units per month, even if you have 1,000 in stock, to save stock for other regions. Backorder processing, BOP. The winner or loser logic. If a VIP customer places an order today, BOP can automatically unconfirm a low-priority order from yesterday and give the stock to the VIP. Alternative-based confirmation, ABC. If Plant A is out of stock, the system automatically checks Plant B or suggests a substitute product. Career value, very high. Companies are desperate for consultants who can configure these supply protection rules. 2. SAP BRIM, Billing and Revenue Innovation Management. This is the single most critical pivot for an SD consultant. The world is moving to subscription economies, SaaS, utilities, media. The architecture, 1. SOM, Subscription Order Management. This sits in SR4 HANA, replaces standard SD order. It handles bundles, example, iPhone plus data plan plus Apple Music. 2. C, Convergent Charging. The calculator. It handles high-volume usage, example, how many minutes you talked, how much electricity you used. 3. CI, Convergent Invoicing. It aggregates the charges into one final invoice. SD versus BRIM. SD equals sell product once, bill once. BRIM equals sell contract, bill recurringly based on usage. Action. Learn the provider contract object in S or 4 HANA. IV. Technical fluency, ABAP, and Fiori for functionals. You do not need to be a developer, but you must understand the new tools to be a solution architect. 1. The new ABAP Cloud, RESTful ABAP Programming, RAP. The new standard model for building apps. CDS views, Core Data Services. These are the heart of SR4 HANA. For you, stop asking developers for table joins. Ask for CDS views. You need to know how to find standard CDS views using the View Browser Fiori app to build reports. Key concept, VDM, Virtual Data Model. SAP provides pre-built views for sales order, billing document, etc. Use these instead of raw tables. 2. SAP Fiori UX Strategy. Spaces and pages. The Fiori Launchpad structure has changed. Groups are deprecated. You must configure spaces, example, Sales Manager space, containing pages, example, Order Overview page. Adaptation project. You can now move fields on a Fiori screen, hide buttons, or rename labels without any coding. This is key user extensibility. You must master this to demo it to clients. End of Part 1. Part 2 will cover Logistics, TM or EWM, Planning, IBP, Reporting or Analytics, and the Architect Career Strategy. Would you like me to proceed with Part 2 immediately? Here is Part 2 of your comprehensive roadmap, covering the expansion into logistics, planning, analytics, and the final career strategy to secure your future until 2035. Part 2, Expansion and Architecture, 20252-035. V. The Logistics Revolution, Beyond the Delivery. In the old ECC world, SD consultants often handled logistics execution, LE. In SR4 HANA, the classic LE modules are being replaced by embedded versions of what used to be separate niche products. 1. SAPTM, Transportation Management. The change, Classic LETRA VT01N, Shipment Documents, is deprecated. It is replaced by Embedded TM. Why an SD consultant needs it. Freight costing. In SD you used condition records for freight. In TM, this is calculated via complex charge calculation, rate tables, scales, and flows back to the SD billing document. Order integration. Sales orders now directly create freight units, FUs. You need to understand how an order becomes a transport requirement. Basic versus advanced. Basic TM, built into S or 4 HANA. Handles simple shipments. You must learn this. Advanced TM, requires extra license. Handles fleet management, complex optimizers. Key concept, the Freight Settlement Document, FSD, is the new object that triggers the service entry sheet for carrier payment and updates the sales order costs. 2. SAP EWM, Extended Warehouse Management. The change, classic LEWM warehouse management, is dead. Compatibility mode ends 2025. Embedded EWM is the standard. The SD integration point, the outbound delivery in SD VL01N, creates an outbound delivery order, ODO, in EWM. What you must know: you don't need to be a warehouse expert, but you must troubleshoot why a delivery is blocked for picking. Understand EWM wave management, grouping many sales orders to pick at once. Understand packaging specifications, replaces old packing instructions. VI. Planning, the bridge to sales. SAP IBP. SAP IBP, Integrated Business Planning, is the cloud successor to SAP APO. As an SD consultant, you control the demand side of the equation. 1. Demand planning and sensing. The old way, sales personnel manually entered forecasts in Excel or MD61. The new way, AI. IBP uses demand sensing. It looks at your sales order history, SD tables, but also crawls external data, weather, economic indicators, social media sentiment to predict what you will sell. Your role: you are the bridge. You configure the sales history data source, CDS views from S or 4 HANA to feed IBP. You help sales directors interpret the forecast. 2. Response and supply. The connection. When a customer asks, "Can I have 10,000 units?" Standard SD checks stock, ATP. IBP response. It checks future production plans and constraints to give a constrained forecast. This feeds back into S or 4 HANA as allocations. PAL 7. Reporting and analytics. The death of ALV. Stop writing specs for ALV grid reports. SE38. The future is insight to action. 1. Embedded analytics, free and built-in. S/4 HANA comes with powerful analytics inside the core. ALP, Analytical List Page. A Fiori screen that combines a visual chart, bar or pie, with a data list. Users can click a bar in the chart to filter the list instantly. Overview pages, OVP. A dashboard for a role. Example: Sales Manager. It has cards showing blocked orders, top customers, expiring quotations. Query Browser. A tool for consultants to view data models without code. 2. SAP Analytics Cloud, SAC. This is the Strategic Enterprise Reporting Tool. The synergy. You don't just report last month's sales. You use SAC to visualize predicted sales or customer churn risk. Hybrid scenario. S/4 HANA holds the live data, SAC holds the visuals. You need to know how to connect them. Live data connection. 8. The Architect's Toolkit, Process and Integration. To move from consultant, dollars, to architect, dollars, you need horizontal skills that span across modules. 1. SAP Signavio, Process Intelligence. SAP is pushing this aggressively. It is an MRI machine for business processes. The use case: instead of asking the client, "How does your order to cash work?" you plug Signavio into their S/4 HANA. The result: it visually maps the actual process flows, highlighting where users are bypassing rules, changing prices manually, or delaying shipments. Value: you become a consultant who uses data to fix business problems, not just a system configurator. 2. SAP CPI, Cloud Platform Integration. You cannot survive knowing only SD. You must know how SD talks to the world. iFlows. Understand what an integration flow is in SAP BTP. APIs. Learn to read the SAP Business Accelerator Hub, api.sap.com. Scenario: when a sales order is created in S or 4 HANA, send a JSON message to the 3 PETA leaders logistics provider. You need to be able to spec this integration. IX. The 2030 Career Strategy, the Business Process Architect. Your goal is to stop being a module specialist and start being an end-to-end process owner. The Lead to Cash Profile. Don't say, "I know SD." Say, "I own the lead to cash process." 1. Lead, CCAX or Salesforce. A prospect is identified. 2. Quote, CPQ. A complex quote is configured. CPQ integration. 3. Order, S or 4 HANA. The hard commitment, SD. 4. Fulfillment, TM or EWM. The physical move. 5. Cash, BRIM or FICO. The money collection. Practical steps for 2026-2027. 1. Immediate. Learn S or 4 HANA Sales Delta features. Settlement Management, AATP. 2. Short term. Pick one major expansion module. Option A, high-tech or media. BRIM. Option B, manufacturing or retail. TM or EWM. 3. Continuous. Learn BTP basics. Create a free tier account on SAP BTP. Build a simple Hello World app or a simple workflow extension. 4. Rebranding. Update your CV or LinkedIn. Remove ECC6, 0 from the headline. Highlight S or 4 HANA Public Cloud, Clean Core, and Process Architecture. X. Certification cheat sheet. Target these specific certifications to validate your pivot. Focus area certification name exam code. The core must have SAP S/4 HANA Cloud Public Edition. Sales CS4 CS 2408 updates every 6 mo. The expert SD SAP Certified Associate Implementation Consultant SAP S/4 HANA Cloud Private Edition. Sales CS4 SAP. The supply specialist SAP Certified Associate SAP S/4 HANA Supply Chain. Transportation Management CS 4TM 2023. The Subscription Pro SAP Certified Associate SAP Billing and Revenue Innovation Management CBRIM 2023. The Architect SAP Certified Associate SAP Signavio CSIG 2201. Final word. The SD consultant role isn't dying, it is elevating. The mundane configuration is being automated or standardized by public cloud. The value has shifted to integration, architecture, and specialized logic, BRIM, or AATP. By 2030, you won't be configuring an item category. You will be architecting a subscription model on BTP. Start that transition today. This detailed guide covers the blind spots, high-value, practical domains that usually slip through standard roadmaps, but are critical for your survival and salary premium between 2025 and 2035. These are the specific tools, methodologies, and micromodules that differentiate a generic senior consultant from a principal architect. Part 3. The Hidden Technical and Strategic Layer, 2025-2035. I. Advanced Hard SD Configuration, the missing links. While everyone learns the basics of S/4 HANA sales, the super specialists are mastering these 4 specific functional changes that replace complex ABAP development. 1. Pricing on steroids, CPF configurable parameters and formulas. The problem, in ECC, if standard pricing wasn't enough, example, calculate price based on the copper index plus 3-month rolling average plus customer risk score. You wrote a VOFM routine, Form 901. In public cloud, VOFM routines are restricted or banned. The solution, CPF, configurable parameters and formulas. What it is, a rules engine inside the pricing procedure. You can define complex mathematical formulas and lookups, decision tables, without writing ABAP. Practical use, you can upload a table of metal indices and have the pricing schema read it dynamically. Career Edge, mastering CPF makes you the go-to person for complex pricing in the cloud, saving the client from buying external pricing engines like Vendivo. 2. The new intercompany, Advanced Intercompany Sales AIS with VSIT. The problem, classic intercompany, Company A sells, Company B ships, had major flaws in tracking stock in transit. The accounting was often messy, requiring manual journal entries. The solution, Valuated Stock in Transit, VSIT. The change. The system now tracks the legal ownership of the goods during the shipment. The stock doesn't just disappear from plant A and appear at the customer. It moves through transit plant logical buckets. Value Chain Monitoring, a new Fiori app that visualizes the entire chain. Sales order, PO, delivery, intercompany invoice, customer invoice in one graphical flow. Requirement: you must learn to configure the Monitor Value Chains app. This is vital for multinational clients. 3. Service Management, the death of CS, customer service. The shift, the classic SD-based module CS, Transaction IW31 service order, is in compatibility mode. It is being replaced by S/4HANA Service, formerly based on SAP CRM Logic. The new objects, instead of service orders, plant maintenance based. You now have service orders, CRM one order framework, service contracts. These are now distinct from SD contracts. Why you need it? Most manufacturing clients sell equipment, SD, and then service, repair, or warranty. If you only know SD, you lose 50% of the client scope. You must learn the service core in S/4HANA. 4. Global compliance. SAP Document and Reporting Compliance, DRC. The context: governments worldwide are mandating e-invoicing. Example: Italy's SDI, India's e-invoice, Brazil's NFE, Poland's KSEF. The old way: separate third-party software, Thomson Reuters, Sovos connected to SAP. The new way: SAP DRC, formerly e-document framework. Your role: this sits squarely in SD. You map the billing document fields to the government XML format. High demand projects in Europe and Latin America are currently 80% DRC and 20% standard SD. If you know DRC, you are never out of work. 2. The implementation ecosystem: how you will work. The days of the blueprinting phase are over. The methodology has changed, and sticking to old ways will get you fired from cloud projects. 1. SAP Activate and Fit to Standard. The methodology: you no longer ask the client, what do you want? Blueprinting: you show them, this is how SAP works. Why can't you use it? Fit to standard. The workshops: you must learn to run show and tell sessions using the SAP Best Practices Explorer, Process Navigator. Skill shift: you need negotiation skills to push back on customization. The metric for success is now low customization code, not happy user. 2. DevOps for SAP, GCTS, and Git-enabled transport. The change: the classic STMS, Transport Management System, is evolving. GCTS, Git-enabled CTS. SAP configuration and ABAP code can now be stored in Git, version control. Why care? This allows CI or CD, continuous integration or continuous deployment. If you break a configuration, you can roll back to a previous version using Git commands. Action: learn the basics of Git: commit, push, pull, branch. Functional consultants will soon be managing their config versions via Git branches. 3. Automated testing, Tricentis. The reality: in the cloud, SAP upgrades your system every 3 to 6 months. You cannot manually test 500 sales order scenarios 4 times a year. The standard, SAP, has partnered with Tricentis Tosca. It is now the embedded testing tool. The job: you will build test cases, recording a sales order flow, that run automatically every weekend. Mastering test automation is a huge value add for a functional lead. 3. Integration architecture, the invisible glue. You don't need to be a coder, but you must understand the patterns of integration to be an architect. 1. SAP Event Mesh, the real-time trigger. Scenario: a delivery is PGID, post-goods issue. You need to notify the customer's mobile app instantly. Old way: a batch job runs every hour to check for new deliveries, polling. This is slow and heavy. New way: event mesh. S/4HANA emits an event, business event, outbound delivery created. The mobile app listens for this event and wakes up instantly. Architect skill: know when to recommend events. Real-time versus iFlows, scheduled data transfer. 2. API Hub, the catalog. Resource: api.sap.com. Usage: never write a functional spec for an interface from scratch. Go to the API Hub, find the standard API example, API SALE SOR DERSRV, and copy the payload, field list, into your spec. Value: this proves you stick to the clean core standard. 3. IDOC versus API, the transition. IDOCs are not dead, but they are legacy. The rule: use OData APIs, synchronous or real-time, for user-facing apps. Use SOAP APIs, asynchronous or heavy, for bulk data. Use IDOCs only if the connecting system is old, like an old EDI subsystem. IV, the industry cloud and sustainability. SAP is stripping specialized logic out of the core ERP S or 4HANA and moving it to the SAP Industry Cloud on BTP1. Uncoupling AS solutions. If you worked in IS Retail or IS Oil, be aware that S/4HANA is standardizing. Specialized logic, like water utility billing, is moving to cloud-native apps that plug into the core. Strategy: don't just learn the core S or 4HANA features, look for the industry cloud apps on the SAP Store relevant to your sector. 2. Sustainability, the Green Ledger. The mandate: companies must now report their carbon footprint alongside their financials. SD role: carbon emissions come from logistics, trucks, or ships. SAP Sustainability Control Tower. This tool pulls data from TM, distance traveled, and EWM, energy used, to calculate the carbon cost of a sales order. Future Consulting. Configuring the green line item on an invoice, showing the customer the CO2 impact of their order. V. Data Strategy, Migration, and Governance. Data is the fuel. If the fuel is dirty, the AI, Joule, will fail. 1. SAP Master Data Governance, MDG. Why? In S or 4HANA, the business partner, BP, is complex. Creating a BP requires generic data, role data, sales data, company code data, and bank data, MDG, a workflow tool to govern this. A requester creates a draft, customer, manager approves, finance adds bank info, system creates BP. Opportunity: MDG consultants bill very high rates. As an SD Pro, you already understand the customer master learning MDG configuration is a natural and lucrative step. 2. Migration Cockpit, SIF. LSMW is dead. Do not use LSMW in S or 4HANA. It is not supported for key objects. The tool, SAPS or 4HANA Migration Cockpit. Methods: file transfer, upload XML templates, staging tables, fill a database table, and SAP pulls from there. Direct transfer connects directly to the old ECC system and pulls data, best for upgrades. VI. Summary of high-value micro skills, the 2026 Toolkit. If you want to build a bulletproof CV for 2026, add these specific keywords and skills. Domain, the old skill. Discard, the new skill. Acquire, practical action. Pricing: VOFM routines, Form 901, CPF, configurable parameters. Build a pricing formula using decision tables. Logistics, LETRA, shipments, freight units or freight orders. Config a basic TM flow in S/4HANA. Invoicing: third-party e-invoice software, SAP DRC. Document compliance, read the PEPL implementation guide. Integration file interface, or FTPO data and events. Event mesh, browse api.sap.com for sales order APIs. Testing: HPQC, or manual Excel Tricentis Tosca. Watch a tutorial on SAP test automation. Methodology: ASAP or blueprinting. Activate or fit to standard. Download the SAP Activate for S/4HANA roadmap. Intercompany stock transfer order, classic. Advanced intercompany, VSIT. Read the SAP note on valuated stock in transit. The final practical advice: don't try to learn all of this at once. 1. Year 1. Foundation. Clean Core plus S/4HANA Sales Certification plus Basic BTP, Forms or Workflow. 2. Year 2. Specialization. Pick one functional heavy hitter, BRIM, TM, or EWM. 3. Year 3. Architecture. Focus on integration, CPI or event mesh, and data, MDG or analytics. This creates a T-shaped profile: deep expertise in sales or revenue, the vertical bar, and broad knowledge of integration or logistics or finance, the horizontal bar. That is the profile of the architect who survives until 2035.